You only, and even right now, you're still out there looking for the next victim. You're out here looking for the next victim, and that's so, like, I'm laughing because that's so fucking sad. But you need not come for me and mine. You need to know that. Because this man does not deserve it. And I know some that do. But he doesn't. So for all of you out there that had the good mind of thinking that she was a liar and that she was just putting on to get sympathy points, yes, she is. And I'm sorry that the rest of you fell for the okie doke and you have egg on your face right now. Because that's what you get for listening to stupid stuff on Facebook and Instagram and Snapchat and TikTok. You're listening to that stuff and you don't even know the whole story. You don't even care.
Yeah, they never need the whole story. They just need to know that there's allegedly a black man that did something, and they jump on like so many maggots on steaming power, you know what. But let's go.
To find out the whole story, you're just going to condemn a person, say that you wish them dead, that they should be under the jail and all this other extra stuff, when the justice system doesn't even feel that way because they don't have any evidence that he did anything. So please, next topic, next subject. I better not see no more. I better not see no more. Because when he come out, baby, all y'all that's out there right now talking junk are going to be so sick because this girl is
perhaps the thing to go along with her colored weave there, but you know, she's making some points, and now she's talking about how, you know, these women who are just running roughshod over this whole story, I guess she's putting them on notice because, you know, that's who she's talking to, right?
Sick. Her and her son. I'm sorry to say it because I don't want to talk about nobody else's kid. But if it's the truth, it's the truth. So they're going to get theirs. Don't worry. They're going to get theirs, and they're going to get the help that they need, hopefully. And I hope all y'all out there that's sitting over there calling my uncle all kinds of names, saying that he needs to die and all this other extra stuff, I hope y'all are the ones that help her get the help. Because y'all need it right along with her. Have a nice day. Signing off.
Yeah, so I guess she told them, right? But yeah, but you know, she actually made a response. She took it down. This ISIS chick, she made a response to her. So to be fair, we're gonna play a little bit of it. So it's a short little video. But this is her response, and we'll see what you guys think of this.
I couldn't get on here fast enough. I thought I heard someone who I've never met in my life coming on here trying to blame my son. Someone whom I've never met in my life trying to come on here and blame my son for the sick and disgusting things that my daughter's father was doing. This is not a game. This is not a game. How dare you? How dare you blame this on an innocent child? You talk about you got proof? You have proof? I've got proof right here. Right here. Show me your paperwork. Show me your paperwork. You talk about I am saying something different than when I was in court. Honey, you weren't even there. I've never seen you in my life. It's not very good. Oh my gosh. Y'all want to see my protective order? Y'all want to see my protective order right here? I'm going to cover my daughter's name. In the case of a vulnerable adult and a minor child, a relative, there is a preponderance of the evidence to believe that the respondent committed the following acts of abuse.
Now, the problem with this is just the deposition, or this is just what she filed as the case. That doesn't represent a finding of the court or a judgment. This is just what she filed against the dude. And the way it's worded, that there's a preponderance of evidence, then again, why is this guy free? Why is he not somewhere locked up trying to protect his manhood the way apparently you didn't protect your child? That's the problem with this. And she's presenting this. She took this video down because I think a lot of people started breaking it down and realizing that this was kind of theatrical because she didn't necessarily prove anything. This is just part of the case that she put out against them. But let's go.
Statutory abuse of a child. R word or a statutory S offense. Father has been coming into two-year-old and 4-year-old daughters' rooms and SAing them. This is from the judge. There's the case number. It matches the records. There's the proof. There's the proof.
All right. So according to her, she said that's proof. But again, when she filed the accusation, then that's just, I guess the filing, but there hasn't been a judgment. And again, if there was this proof or this preponderance of evidence, then this dude should not be free at all. So that's the problem that I have with that. But before we wrap up, there's another clip I want to get into, because some of these women pointed out the fact that this there were things going on while, well, you know what? I'm going to end on this note because I think one of these YouTubers, I think Chrissie, she said a couple of things I'm going to need to dissect real quick.
Trophy wife story. I want to give some updates as well as respond to some of the feedback on my last video. And just a trigger warning, I will be talking about SA in this video. So if you're sensitive to that kind of subject matter, you might want to click my last video. The new trophy wife, or ISIS, is a hypergamy level up guru who recently went viral for exposing her husband for SAing their 2 daughters as well.
See, they didn't already put the dude picture out here and all that, so that's the guy. But again, it's kind of weird that they would run to judgment so quick without having an official judgment either way. So it's not like the guy's in jail or anything like that. These are horrible accusations, and we all would agree that if he did it, he should be in jail. But the fact that this woman came out here without any concrete proof is, like, pretty insidious. And then you got women like this, a woman right here talking, Chrissie. She's going to say something I'm going to need to dissect real quick, and then we're going to end on that note. But let's go.
Herself. And since going viral, her husband has been revealed. And now a woman who is claiming to be his niece has made several videos on TikTok claiming that ISIS is lying. And she said it was really ISIS's oldest son that has been touching her daughters as well as her other children. And she also said that ISIS has a C abuse charge herself. In other words, she was basically saying that ISIS is harming her children. So after this happened, ISIS went live to defend her son. She claims that she has never seen this woman claiming to be her husband's niece in her life. She also showed a document with the court case number to prove that she was not lying. So I did look up the case number that ISIS showed in the video. And, before looking like everyone else, I just assumed that ISIS pressed charges on her husband. But come to find out, no charges were filed. He never got arrested, and the case was closed because they could not prove that he did what she accused him of.
Right. So that's the point. Why would she come out here with this if there was no proof, or that he was never even charged with anything? That's the reason why there's so much questioning of this, and the reason why it's such a bad look is because she came out as if this was like, the guy was already locked up or something. It's crazy.
Can't be trusted. But in this case, we can't question that system, and we have to go along with what they said.
Okay, so let's listen to this.
And you better believe that if this man was white, there would be zero debate. Black people would still believe that he did it. So it's not lost on me that the only reason most of y'all are questioning Isis's story is because her man is Black and y'all don't want to condemn a Black man.
Well, wait a minute, Chrissy. So isn't that the exact reason why you are so quick to believe it? Because I guarantee you, if he were white, people like you would not be so quick to say he did it, even though statistically it is a higher preponderance or proportion of them that do it. And again, this isn't, being racist. This is just being factual. So the same thing that she's trying to accuse those of us who are just trying to, be unbiased, because I don't have a dog in this fight. If the guy did it, I say send his ass up the river or wherever the hell else that needs to happen to him. We don't have a culture of defending guys like this. We're not doing it because he's, there's some type of affinity for this type of behavior. What the problem is that there's been so many rushes to judgment as it pertains to a Black man doing something without evidence coming out. Then look, nobody should be questioning whether or not people are saying, well, wait a minute, let's go ahead and see how this plays out before we rush to judgment. But let's go.
It has very little to do with not having proof, because there's also no proof that the woman claiming to be the niece of Isis's husband is actually his niece. But y'all automatically believe her because she said she was. And for all...
Yeah, but just like you're believing that this happened because she said it did, right? Because like I said before, there's reason to take all of this with a grain of salt, especially when there's no proof, no tangible proof that we saw other than her little filing that she flashed up there and then later took the video down. But apparently that's enough for people like Chrissie and others to run with. But in a court of law, or in what's supposed to be, innocent until proven guilty, the burden of proof is on the accuser. She is the one that's supposed to have all her ducks in a row, coming out with sufficient evidence to convict this guy in a court of public opinion, because that's what she's basically doing. Even though this is not within the realm of a legal situation, it is the court of public opinion in the sense that people are passing judgment on this guy, particularly women, Black women who are rushing to judgment, already saying that this dude is guilty simply because of what this woman is saying. And just like Chrissy just said, well, you shouldn't just rush and believe that girl is his niece. Well, you rush to believe that this was true in terms of the accusation, which again, the burden of proof is on the accuser. But let's go.
All we know, the husband could be feeding her this information to tell to the public. And
well, now you're speculating. You're just coming up with a whole different narrative that we have absolutely no evidence against. But you see how easily she let that roll off her mouth? Let's go.
We know how quick Black women are to cape for degenerate Black men.
No, we know how quick Black women are, like you, who are quick to crucify and convict a man with no evidence. We know that.
Especially when it's their Black male family members. So I am sorry, I am not going to believe her just because she's a Black woman. At this point, we really don't know who's telling the truth. But one thing that is consistent with both stories is that those little girls are or were being touched. And I noticed that the niece said that Isis's little girl, she first said her brother touched her. And she kind of just left it there. So what I took from that wording, her saying that the daughter first accused the brother, is that the daughter likely named...
Now, who's ever touching those girls needs to be dealt with, even if it's the son. They'll take him out. I don't know how old the son is allegedly, but if he's doing it, then there's help that he needs to get. I mean, I think they have homes or something that they could put him in. So that's the bottom line. The bottom line is making sure that the victims, no matter who's doing it, that they are away from them. That's the primary concern.
Both her father and the brother when asked who was touching her. So I am inclined to believe that it could have been both of them doing it. And she mentioned that.
So again, she's just speculating when she says it's both of them. So when the niece comes out and says no, it was the son, Chrissie is still trying to implicate the guy just based on what Isis said, But again, ISIS's word is just as credible as the niece's, or the niece's is just as credible as ISIS, because neither one of them has presented tangible evidence as to there's been an investigation showing one way or the other, which the burden of proof again falls on ISIS to provide that evidence, which she failed to do. And the niece coming out saying that this didn't happen, there's more credibility actually that she has, because she doesn't have the burden of proof. But let's get it.
The son had a bunch of behavioral issues. She said at one point he was spreading his feces on the wall. And if that is true, then the husband could have been essaying all of those children, including the boys.
Now look at that. Now you look how she just threw that out there, right? That even ISIS didn't accuse him of that. She only said that he was messing with the daughters allegedly. And Chrissie coming out here talking about, see, he could have been messing with the sons too. Now where the hell she get that from? She just pulled that out of the air somewhere, right? So that's what I'm talking about. See, these women come out here trying to act like they're biased, but then they're adding all this conjecture. And so that's why over here we push back against anti-black men propaganda, because we know how quick these women will go off on tangents, introducing circumstances and situations that are nowhere near the equation. Because like I said, even the ISIS herself didn't even suggest that the guy was messing with her sons. If anything, that was one of the reasons why she got with him, was because the dude was simping out, talking about how those were his boys. So she never accused him of doing that. So why is Chrissie just pulling that out of who knows where, talking about that he was messing with the boys? You see what I'm saying? Let's get some more. So I just had to address, I was going to wrap up the live already, but I felt that it was so egregious that Chrissie would say this that I wanted to address it, and to show just how outrageous these women go with their conjecture and accusations, but yet and still they wonder why we question instances, situations like this as it pertains to these accusations. Well, let's go.
Who knows? And I know somebody's going to say, oh, well, how do you know ISIS isn't doing the essaying? And we don't know. She could be.
Yeah, exactly. So that's the point. And that's pretty much what the niece said, that she was the one that actually, was doing something to the son, which would give reason as to why he was maybe doing things to the daughter. So you don't know. But again, there is no reason for those women to have been putting this guy's information out there and running with this narrative with all these unanswered questions. That's the whole point.
But we see who originally reported it. And if the husband was as furious as the niece said he was about those little girls being touched, why didn't he file SA charges? And also, if he's innocent.
Well, again, you don't know what he's doing because he's been quiet about it. And like the niece said, he's already doing some things behind the scenes. We don't know. And the point of the matter is, a lot of people are not clout chasing and trying to get their information all out there in the public like apparently this woman is, because she's proved with a preponderance of evidence that she's out here trying to get the bag, and that she's pretty much just, that's why she even got with dude so quickly in the first place. So she's obviously trying to go for the clout and the cash. But this guy apparently is already doing well off for himself, so he has no reason to be putting all his information out there for the public. But let's go.
Why hasn't he tried to sue ISIS for defamation and slander?
Again, it's like I said earlier, she literally just came out with this. So like the niece said, he's actually probably currently working on that right now. It's not something that you come out with a defamation case the next day. He's gathering probably the evidence. And again, she literally just dropped this video a few days ago.
It seems like if he was trying to defend himself and clear his name, his niece would have mentioned that. And I looked up all of the cases that both ISIS and her husband had, and I found some DV cases that were dismissed, but I didn't find any C abuse charges against ISIS like the niece claimed. And I'm not saying she doesn't have one, but I just couldn't find it. But based on the DV cases, it looks to me.
And the question is, did you find any against the guy other than this, or did you find any that prove that the guy did it? Now they both have, it looks like, mutual DV cases or domestic, violence cases against each other. And it's like data that we pulled out before in the past and showed that a lot of the DV cases are mutual combat situations between particularly the black men and black women. And in fact, there's a higher percentage of black men that report violence coming at them to the tune of, I believe, 56%, which is more than the ones that are levied by the black women against the black men. And I also pulled out data, and this was credible data from places like the CDC, Pew Research Center, all of that. We pulled out the government data, which shows that black women call the police at a rate of twice that of other women, particularly white women. They call the police more, even though it's mutual combat situations. They're the first ones to call the police. And once the police investigate, they realize that either the woman was the first one to put their hands on them, or, there was just a mutual fight going on. But since they're the ones to call the police in an effort to make it seem as though they were innocent, that we got data that substantiates that. And in this particular case, if she was indeed the one who was doing some of the abuse, just because she was the first one to file doesn't exonerate her of possibly doing it. So we deal with real facts and figures over here. No one's trying to cape for anybody. We don't have any love for a guy who would do that to his own daughters. That ain't the point. We're just looking at facts, and based on history, there's a disproportionate amount of instances where there have been accusations against black men in particular, and it come to find out that it's actually a lie. And that's the whole problem. But let's get a little bit more before we wrap up.
That this was just a toxic, abusive relationship. So what I'm not going to do is paint this man as some innocent victim that's just being lied on by his preference gold digger.
Okay, so if you're not going to paint him as innocent, then why are you painting him as guilty? If at best you should be neutral and just say, listen, we're going to wait till more information come out. There's some holes in this woman's story. There's something ain't adding up. So instead of, demonizing the guy without sufficient evidence, why don't you just take a step back and say, you know what? We don't have all the evidence. Let's just wait and see. But yet she's claiming she's not going to, make him seem innocent, but yet she doesn't have a problem coming up with all these weird scenarios about him possibly even messing with the sons when ISIS herself never even accused the guy of that. So you see how that works?
Because she didn't get enough money in the relationship. Because that's the narrative that people are running with now. And I feel like the only reason a lot of people are running with that is because he's black. Because again, if he were white, he would not be given the benefit of the doubt. And ladies, when you are...
It depends on who you're talking about. With the divestors and the defectors and swirlers and whatever, you're damn right. In fact, not only would they give them the benefit of the doubt, they would completely bury any instances of this happening. Because you ever notice that those divestors and defectors or whatever, that they never talk about the DV that goes on with the men that they're with? They always are trying to paint this narrative as if the roses are redder and the grass is greener over there. And that's why you had like that girl, Sade Jenkins, I think her name was, with a guy, the white guy over in Milwaukee, dismembered her and left her body parts in different parts of the city because she had probably been listening to people like Chrissie and all these other women out there. Like, it's so good to, go and get the pasta and the lobster from these guys on these dates. And on the first date, she wound up, getting put in different pieces around the city. Yeah. And other instances like that. And again, we ain't just stating this as some type of racial issue. We're talking about raw data. The same demographic of the men that these women keep telling other women to defect or divest to are the leaders in that particular Pedialyte or PDF file behavior. But they don't seem to have a problem with that as it pertains to them. But after one accusation of a black man allegedly doing something like this, then they all get it all hot and bothered and want to come out here putting this guy's identity out here and just, you know, giving money to this broad and just creating this false narrative and coming up with all these different scenarios like she just did. It's remarkable.
Listening to some of the people report on this, keep in mind that a lot of these people are compromised. Obviously, the black men are.
Oh, you mean like the divestors who have a vested interest of, you know, trying to demonize whatever black man's name they can? You mean like that?
Going to defend other black men, right?
And again, I've already broke this down earlier. Black men do not have an inherent desire to defend men who are accused of something like this. I've heard most of the black men report on this. They've all said in unison, if this dude did what he's accused of, he needs to have his ass locked up at best, probably even, you know, taken out of here, to be honest. That's what I've been hearing. There ain't no black dude trying to defend this dude on the basis of if he's guilty, they want justice. What they're saying is, well, let's not rush to judgment because there's a history of black men being accused of stuff that they didn't do with little to no evidence. And it's the usual suspects like Chrissie who will come out here running with these narratives. And once it comes out that it's fake and that it's a lie, then they don't have the integrity or the fortitude to retract and show that they were part of the ecosystem that put that lie out there, just like they did with the brick broad and other situations. That's the issue. We're not defending him because we're black. In fact, I'm not even defending him. I'm just saying, well, let's look at the facts of the case. Let's look at the fact that this guy didn't even get locked up. There's no tangible evidence other than the word of this woman who has been caught in so many other lies. She even lied on the profile that she made online saying that she didn't have any kids. She admitted to that, and a group of other inconsistencies. So let's not act like this woman is like this credible source when, again, the burden of proof is on her, and she's done a piss poor job of really showing that what she's saying is actually factual. Let's get a little bit more of this BS right here.
And you also have black women who are compromised because they're with black men, or because they may have some decent black men in their family and they're subconsciously protecting the black man because of that.
So somebody who has a good relationship with normal people, or who are rational and judicious in how they're looking at this, then that means they're compromised, right? No, the ones who are compromised are people who have some inherent bias or animosity towards black men, to the point that no matter how outlandish, how ridiculous, how unproved the accusations are, they can always find themselves siding with the accuser. That's a dysfunction, and that's being compromised, if you ask me. But let's go.
A lot of them subconsciously see the black men that they love in ISIS's husband. So if they can give him an out, that's what they're going to do. So it's important that we understand that while listening to some of the black community feedback on this story. These people are extremely biased, and we all are to some extent.
No, bias is automatically assuming the worst without having all the sufficient evidence and dismissing other people's account who are just as credible. And that's what they're doing. So anyway, I think we've had enough of that crap right there. I just wanted to show you guys the levels that these women will go to try to, you know, dismiss the way a normal judicial process is supposed to work. And they're so quick to want to demonize a guy without the proof. And again, it's not like we don't have precedent as far as seeing guys being accused and coming out later that it was all a lie. So if it wasn't for that, then maybe they would have a stronger case in terms of their rhetoric, but they don't. They don't have a leg to stand on, because we've seen over and over again how a lot of these people will come out here with these blatant lies with nothing to prove it, and then how quickly these women will run with that false narrative.